Today we're going to be troubleshooting some issues that GN's video editor Andrew Coleman has been having with his laptop. So Andrew does pretty much all the video editing for the site on our own rigs, which means I was not privy to the fact that this is what he's dealing with at home. This is the primary system as I understand it, and it's not in great shape. So this is a Lenovo something. Do we know what model this is? I don't know. Do you know what the model this is? Lenovo IdeaPad Y480. I'm going to be taking this thing apart, at least in part, to try and figure out what's going on. So the issue, as I understand it, when running just about anything, including Windows, the system will sometimes freeze. It will exhibit frozen mouse behavior, shutdowns. When rendering animations, you may have seen the CPU Cooler TLDR or the 570X review. Those both had some pretty cool animations that we did. They were made on this system, rendered on our machine in the office, but made on this system. And when that happens, the CPU hits about 98 degrees Celsius, should not do that, and the GPU also around 98 Celsius, and the hard drive somewhere in the high 70s, which is also pretty damn hot. So we're gonna try and fix it, but we'll see how that goes. Before we get into the work here, this content is brought to you by our Patreon backers. If you want to help us out making behind-the-scenes videos or other videos, we've got a behind-the-scenes video coming up for the EVGA VRM testing, then you can help us out by checking out our Patreon page, patreon.com/gamersnexus, or in the links in the description below. Thank you to those of you who are already supporting us there. So let's get into the content. This is the Lenovo IdeaPad Y480, I guess, as I've just seen. We're gonna go ahead and open it first. So there's the IdeaPad, and I've got a dust allergy, which is going to come into play here. So let's just kind of do the basics here. So CPU is hitting whatever 98, 100 Celsius. Really doesn't matter at this point. Higher than TJ Maxx for a laptop, I'm sure, or very damn close to it. And I can already tell what the problem is. The problem is probably all the dust that I mean, look at this thing. I just cleaned it off, and it looks really pretty good compared to where it was a second ago. So dust isn't great. Andrew docks the system, which means it's really never opened. It's just kind of kept like that, closed all the time. We should probably work on we should work on that hinge too. Oh, this is important. So this is the side of the laptop. You may notice that you can see some copper sticking out of it. The plastic housing is broken here, and that copper, I'm thinking, may have sucked in some of the dust we just dealt with. So I think the heart of this issue will be thermals. I guess we could go ahead and demonstrate the issue. You have like a Blender file or something I can open? We've opened up a GN logo 3D file in Blender. I'm gonna hit F12 to start rendering it, and in 3, oh, that is getting loud. That is some warm air coming out. So CPU is at 20% load or thereabouts. Temperature is fluctuating 70s to 80. And we're not doing a CPU render anymore. We're doing a GPU render. GPU is under 100% load. Temperature is at 82, now 83. It has climbed about 10 degrees in the last 1 minute or so, and it's still climbing. So we're eventually going to start hitting some thermal limits, minimally on the clock rate, if not on the system being stable. So we're at 2.4 gigahertz CPU. GPU is what? 885 megahertz. This is a GTX 650M. I've got a thermocouple probe here, K-type. I'm going to touch the copper fin. This doesn't tell us anything about the component temperature. It just tells us that the heatsink's working well. But if you touched it with your hand, you would be touching about 70 degrees Celsius of copper. Like, just having my hand where it is measuring the temperature is pretty uncomfortable. So that's really more of a... Fixing some of the cooling by removing dust will solve some of that. But that's also more of a, the copper is exposed, and that's what exposed copper is going to do when it's a heatsink. GPU is up to 90 Celsius. It's been like 40 seconds since the last update, so that's probably 3 minutes total we're running. We're in the 90s. Starting to smell like burning dust. And CPU, last check was like in the low, it would fluctuate 64 to 80, and now it's fluctuating 75 to 85. I just saw 92 pop up, but 75 to 85 reliably. And that's not a CPU render, so that means the GPU is burning up the CPU. GPU is 91, 92 Celsius. Hard drive has gained 3 degrees. It's at 47 now, so if you ran this prolonged rendering overnight or something, hard drive would probably be pretty unhappy as well. Okay, so I think I've seen enough. It'll crash eventually. It's certainly happened enough up until this point, so we don't need to duplicate it. So it will freeze or crash. GPU, after less than probably 5 minutes or thereabouts of rendering, we are at, we're in the 90s Celsius, and CPU is approaching that range as well. So let's figure out what we can do to fix this. So I have not worked on one of these laptops either in a very long time or no, I have worked on Lenovo, but not in quite a while. It's gonna be a bit of a learning process, but shouldn't be too hard really. For those who don't know, I used to do laptop test engineering. So this was part of the day job many years ago. These screws are like cemented in there. I don't know if this has been shown on the camera or not, but I'm putting the screws in a tray, top of the tray for this. And I'm putting them in order, so oriented, same as the laptop, bottom right screw, bottom left screw. That way I can reinstall them correctly later. Laptops are notoriously tricky with their screws. They often use different types and sizes of screws depending on what you're working on, so it is important to document them. There's a crack in the bottom of this too. Disconnect the battery. Okay. That's good. Oh, I see the problem. Yep, there's the drive. And getting dust off this stuff, you do have to be careful. The tools I'm using to get dust are for household cleaning. You don't want to use them on, for example, memory. You'd be better off using just a blower can, which I've also got some generic department store can of anti-static compressed air will do the trick. You don't want to rub ESD ready components, or basically these types of things, all over sensitive components. Okay, so how do we get to here? This is often where companies hide tiny screws under the CD, any optical drives. And then they also like to hide them under the feet, so there's rubberized feet, but they are generally marked so you know there's something under them, like there's a little symbol next to them, like this symbol here. Will generally be next to a foot with something under it. This one's like already stripped out. I haven't even worked on it. I'm thinking I can fit a square head screw in there, but I can see all the dust is in your fan. Keyboard screw, hard drive. Yeah, you could try like once on that. That screw is not supposed to be in that hole. That screw is not the right size for that hole. Ew. Something's holding that down. It's probably that stupid thing. No, that's too far off center. Oh, we gotta get this screw out to get anywhere, unfortunately. No matter what screwdriver I put in there, it's gonna spin. I've got like one grab point, so I've probably one good shot before I strip it out worse. I tried the square heads and even Allen keys, and they almost fit, but not quite. Yeah, I'm not really sure what we can do about that. A lot of force. That screw is not going back in there. That screw is going into the garbage. Oh, that's good. We've already improved this laptop substantially. Help me remember this white one goes there. I don't think it actually matters, but I know it does matter. White one goes into the auxiliary. White auxiliary, black other one. Okay. Maybe that screw does have to come out. Just happens to line up with where the tension is on the keyboard. There's probably one under the RAM. Oh my god, that is so much dust. Nice. Got one clip out. It's this fucking plastic clips again. Okay, there we go. There it goes. Fuck. God damn. Okay. Ribbon. Oh, maglev fan by Sonnen. They make Corsair's maglev fans. Shh, not many people know that. Oh, there's a cable right here. Got it. There's a lot of dust coming out of here onto my table. The shell's got like so many cracks in it already. I'm scared to apply any force to it. Something down there. Aha! Got it, sneaky friggin' bastards. That's why you don't apply force. Figured it out without hurting anything worse than it already has been. So we're working with the top side, a lot of plating, copper-like material, not quite hard copper or anything, but we've got stuff to work with. Where does that even situate? That's all for the contacts down here anyway. So now we gotta actually start cleaning this thing. I'm gonna start with non-sensitive areas. So here's a look at the main part of the problem. Fan's not seized from dust, but I would be surprised if it's spinning at spec. A lot of dust in there. Even if it spins to spec, there's just so much crap, it's gonna not move as much air because the dust is taking the place of all the air. Probably gonna open the window and blow that outside. I'm gonna see if I can take this shell off, and if we can take the shell off and individually expose the fan, which not all laptops will do, but some that I've worked with have, then we can individually clean out the fan. It's held there. So much dust. Like, even if you just look here, this is like capacitors. Ugh, gross. But we can definitely clean that off. It's gonna be hard to put back together correctly. Ugh. It's one of the most complex laptops internally I've ever worked with. I feel like this is not how it originally shipped. But also that screw was not taken out, so I guess it is. Oh, fuck, there's so many cables. You ready for the unveil? Dun, dun, dun. There's your problem. Good news. Big copper heat pipes. Bad news. No way to dissipate the heat. To take a good look at that. I'm thinking while we're this far down, clean this out, take these off, take this off, do new thermal paste on the CPU and the GPU, and then seal it back up, which is going to take friggin' forever. Can you grab me a paper towel and some thermal paste? It's mostly like hardened at this point. There's no point. It's not really doing anything. The thermal pads that were here on the memory have some dust in them. You can see on this one the easiest. Probably they still do something. It's just questionable. Why is there like plastic covering everything in this computer? It's probably to keep dust out, but like GTX 650M. Never before seen. It's like actually plastic. Nice. It's okay. Goes like that. It's trying to prevent metal contact between those, so. Okay, so we're gonna skip thermal pads for cost reasons. I don't wanna put expensive pads on this and it'll be fine without them anyway. This thermal compound is not Arctic cooling compound. It's actually a compound I have from a factory that I've sucked into this tube, and it's really damn good. So we're gonna put that here, and where do we have here and here, and that's it. So I'm gonna put some compound here. Be a little generous. Someone's gonna be like, "Oh my god, that's so much thermal paste," but this is a GPU, folks. It's fine. It's not the same as a CPU. Better cover up the compound before someone cries crimes against humanity. Cool, that's resealed. This goes like that. This connects here. You can actually put those in right now. It's not going to prevent anything. Alright, so this is Captain Tape. This can withstand about 100 Celsius, which it's not going to get anywhere close to that temperature. But I want to put something in. This was originally held in with adhesive. I can tell because I can look at it and see there's residue on it. So I am going to hold it down with probably better adhesive than what was in there originally. And it's not electrically conductive. Yeah, okay, that'll work well. Auxiliary main. Not stress testing yet. We're just seeing, does it turn on, does the keyboard and mouse work? Fan is not spinning, and I know why. This cable. Okay, we've got video. Fan is spinning. Okay, mouse works. Keyboard works. Seal it back up. What if I dual wielded? Have fun editing this, Jesus. Okay, moment of truth. So as you can see, CPU temperatures are in the sub 70 range, 65, 68. GPU temp is 68 steady. Generally, it's dropping a bit right now based on the render task, but it's been 68 up until now. Hard drive is about 44. So last time we ran this test before tearing the whole thing down and working on it, we basically we didn't even finish a render pass in Blender, and we were already hitting, I think we were high 80s. We were at or around 90. This time we're at about 68 Celsius for just a one render pass complete in Blender. So that's a pretty significant improvement. Even just, I would have been happy with a 15 Celsius improvement over Andrew's reported 98 Celsius originally. I'd have been happy with probably a 10 Celsius improvement, honestly. But if we're getting 20, then great. I'm not going to question it. This was a short pass, but it sounds like we're getting at least 15, 20C improvement, maybe more, depending on how this functions when there's like a longer burn-in period. CPU temps, also about 20C improvement. Hard drive was in the 40s, so that was fine too. The only reason that would heat up is because it's sort of sandwiched between the hotter components. Overall looks good. The fan is working better. I can actually feel air coming out of the side now rather than heat just radiating out of it. The copper heatsink alone is cooler, about 6 or 7 degrees. And obviously, again, not a measurement of performance, but the fact that the copper heatsink's cooler means the fan is actually pushing air through it, anticipating the heat that it collects or conducts. So I think I can call this a success. Looks like minimally cleaning the fan probably did about all of the work, but new thermal paste does not hurt. That was a good thermal paste too. The stuff that was on there is basically plastic. So not bad overall. Laptop went together exactly how it came apart. No damage done. The little prying tool ensured that none of the edges got chipped, which I've certainly done in the past when I was newer to pulling laptops apart, where you start prying it up with like a flathead and you really screw up that plastic finish on the shell. That didn't happen here because we used proper tools. So pretty sweet. I am, I guess, as a value add, pretty happy with this toolkit too, but that's one I actually paid for. So I got a bias because I paid for it and I want it to be good, but it actually is pretty good for this task. So, Patreon link, the post-roll video. If you want to help us out directly, or in this case, help people like Andrew improve their computer significantly with a few mods, and links in the description below for Twitter, social media, things like that. You can tweet at us at GamersNexus and subscribe for more. I'll see you all next time.